right after the fights. Khamzat Chimaev done with 185 pounds. We were talking about potential matchups for Sean Strickland being Dricus du Plessis or the winner of Dricus du Plessis and Nasruddin Imavov. So what happened from that point until this one, where Khamzat Chimaev said, "Let me know when you're ready." We have this underneath. Something's going on.
Nature of the wrestler is ridiculous. He does have huge punching power. But as soon as you get tired, all of that goes out the window. When you are gassed, when your body is shutting down, when your arms feel like lead weights, when your lungs are burning, doesn't matter how good you are. You want to sit on the floor. You want to go home. The last place you want to be is inside an octagon. And when you have cut a dramatic amount of weight, apparently camp started at 231 pounds. I actually heard rumors that he got as high as 240, but we'll go with 231. That is a 46-pound weight cut. If you started at the start of training camp, in 8 weeks, you got to be 46.
Chimaev and his weight is greatly relevant, and it's of great interest to us, the MMA community, because we're just wondering what he's going to do next. Is he going to go to 205? He told Dana he was. Dana told the world that he was. Or is he going to stay at 185 and pursue Sean Strickland, because that's what he told the world through social media on Sunday. So it's very relevant what Chimaev weighs. Told that he lost 46 pounds the week of a fight. I got to tell you, it's not the statement. It's that somebody in our industry would believe the statement that makes my blood boil.
Like all the Jackson guys in that camp now. They're great with the jewelry, but when they show up on fight night, it's not the same anymore.
Dude, all of you guys talk about these training sessions.
Man, you got to go there one day, train in his garage. It's the craziest thing ever, bro.
I need to try one time, because between him, Juan, TJ Dillashaw, and you, that's four phenomenal fighters.
They're talking about Sam Calavita and the garage training, and watch what Cub Swanson says about how good it is for fight training.
I think it's good for fighting, though.
Why?
That's why I don't do it anymore. My manager was the only person saying, "I don't like what you're doing." And I'm like, "But I feel strong, I feel good." I lost every fight that I trained with Coach Cal, and I'm not really blaming him. I learned so much.
Cub Swanson exposed the real problem on Jackson's podcast. He trained with Sam Calavita, the same strength and conditioning coach working with Chimaev in Orange County. And Cub admitted he lost every fight he took while training in that garage. The workouts are brutal. They're designed to break you mentally. But Cub learned something critical. You can't leave your best performance in the training room. He said when he stopped those sessions and focused on proper recovery, he performed better. Now look at Chimaev's fight history. The Gilbert Burns fight where he gassed. The du Plessis fight where he held position but never finished. And now the Strickland fight where his body quit in round 2. There's a pattern here of overtraining combined with extreme weight cutting.
All right, I'm going to beat him. I know I can beat him on the floor, but you guys, you don't like that? I'm going to beat him at his game. I'm going to outstrike him. And I'm not going to get booed. I'm going to show I have that dimension. I could be that guy. I could be exciting. And I can win this way too. I don't have to win that way, where I have a big edge. I think that was part. I think there was a combination of not being right physically and also trying to prove something. And then he got kind of caught up. He got caught up where he couldn't go back to the floor, either because he already got too involved in the striking and he had to stick with it, or because he knew he didn't have the strength.
Teddy Atlas breaks down the psychology perfectly. Why would Chimaev, whose greatest weapon is ground control, only attempt takedowns in the first round? Atlas identifies 2 possibilities. First, Chimaev knew he wasn't physically right and couldn't sustain the energy required for wrestling. Second, he wanted to prove he could strike with one of the best strikers in the division. Remember, Chimaev got booed heavily after the du Plessis fight for just holding position. Maybe he internalized that criticism. Maybe he wanted to show he's more than a wrestler. But that ego cost him the belt.
With Khamzat too, I also think a couple of factors that went against him on Saturday night. He's been in big fights, but he hasn't been in this big of a fight. Defending the middleweight title, you have this wild boy talking so much shit. So I don't think he's dealt with that kind of pressure at that level. And then also Khamzat.
And here's the detail everyone's missing. Chimaev touched gloves with Strickland twice before the fight started. Once at the beginning of round 1, once at the beginning of round 2. Chimaev never does that. He's the intimidator. He's the guy who stares through opponents with murderous intent. But this time, he extended his fist for a glove touch. That's a white flag. That's a fighter who knows he's not right physically offering an olive branch because he can't bring the violence he's known for. Teddy Atlas caught it immediately and said it felt like Chimaev was acknowledging he couldn't get to that dark place mentally because his body wouldn't allow it.
And I want to check this out because a lot of people are saying, Joey, you're so biased. It's so crazy that you even act like Khamzat won. Listen, I'm not saying that these guys are very smart because they're really not. But these guys arguably have a bias against Khamzat Chimaev. Dean Thomas is an avid Khamzat Chimaev hater. And literally, he went out of his way to say that Khamzat Chimaev won that fight against Strickland. And here you have Usman and Henry Cejudo saying the same thing.
I do give the fight to Khamzat Chimaev, slight margin. I say 48-47 Khamzat Chimaev. But
The fifth round, bro. How did Strickland win that fifth, bro?
Hey, Strickland stayed on his feet for the most part.
I get that.
Strickland backed up, jabbing the forearms over and over and over again, and somehow people are giving him credit for it. It's unbelievable to me.
The real story is Chimaev was 231 pounds when he thought he was fighting Prochaska. 6 weeks out from the Strickland fight, he was down to 211 pounds, which is 97 kilograms. That means he lost 20 pounds in 6 weeks, then had to lose 26 more pounds in the final 2 weeks. That final 2-week push is where his body shut down.
Also plays a factor when you're dealing with a guy like Sean, who's so durable and has such great cardio and can take the fight into deep waters, and always does.
Yeah.
He's always going after you in the final round. Like the final round with Izzy, when he's got his hands down, he's screaming at Izzy, "Come on!"
He looks better. Yeah, he gets better as the fight goes on.
Yeah, and Izzy had noticeably faded by that final round. Part of that because of the beating that he took in the first.
Correct.
Right. I mean, he got
dropped too.
Super close to stopped, probably concussed in the first. You know, I mean, that fucking straight punch that he landed where he spun Izzy's head around and then hit him with how many fucking left hands in a row?
Yep.
15, 20 left hands in a row? I mean, let's count them.
Yeah.
Let's watch that and count them because it's crazy. He just bang, 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 bang. If you think you're going to go and just fight normal after that,
it's not happening.
You're concussed.
You're compromised.
Probably you have a concussion.
Yes.
Just by the way he went down.
Joe Rogan explains the physiology. When you're bulked up to 230 pounds with muscle, not fat, your body has decided that's your weight. To drop 46 pounds, your muscles have to literally eat themselves. You can't just sweat it out. You have to starve, dehydrate to the brink of death, and cannibalize your own tissue. Strickland gets heavy between fights, but it's a different kind of heavy. He carries fat that can be cut through diet and cardio. Chimaev was pure muscle at 230, preparing for a light heavyweight fight. When the UFC called and asked him to drop back to middleweight, he agreed because he doesn't refuse fights. But that decision cost him everything in the cage.
They don't matter. I think belittles the sport. So let's go get a couple W's and I'll see you again.
Because Sean Strickland went out there and won that fight fair and square. It's as simple as that. Yes, it was close. Yes, people are split and divided on their opinions as to who won. But ultimately, the fact that Khamzat did get tired, that's no one else's fault. And it's certainly not Sean Strickland's. Sean Strickland will be defending the belt again. I don't know who against, okay? Will it be Khamzat Chimaev in October? I mean, I'll be honest, Khamzat's a huge star. And I think there is a compelling storyline. And I think the world would be interested to see it one more time. Now, of course, a lot of people are coming out and talking about the fabricated beef. Nate Diaz was talking shit about it.
And shaking hands right off the bat the whole time. It's fucking like you did bullshit.
Troll individuals with one arm and his legs and beat the ever-loving shit out of them with his other arm, or choke them, or submit them. Khamzat doesn't have that. Not right now. Even Islam doesn't have it like Habib did. And Islam's an entertaining fighter in his own way with his striking, and so is Khamzat. But it was not what he showed Saturday. That's a beatable dude, man. Even at 205. Think about if you can't get Strickland to the ground. Not to say that Strickland's a pushover, some bum. He isn't. He is a great grappler. But if you can't hold Strickland down, what are you going to do with somebody like Magomed Ankalaev, Paulo Costa, hell, Alex Pereira? If you don't submit Alex in the first couple of rounds, what are you going to do with him? You know what I mean? These guys are 240, 220. Khamzat's what, 210, 215? You're a small guy at light heavyweight all of a sudden. That's the most bizarre part of it is like, even on the night, Strickland looked like the bigger 185 or something. something with Khamzat, a lot of things with Khamzat were not right. Again.
And here's where it gets interesting. Chimaev just signed to fight Dylan Dennis in a wrestling match at RAF 10 on June 13th, 2025. That's less than a month away. Why would Chimaev take a wrestling match if he's serious about the Strickland rematch? Because he needs to stay active, make money, and prove his grappling is still elite. But it's a risky move. If something goes wrong, if he gets injured, the rematch opportunity disappears. The UFC won't wait. They'll book Strickland against Nassourdine Imavov or bring back Duplessis for a trilogy. Chimaev is gambling that he can dominate Dennis, stay healthy, and force the UFC's hand for October in Abu Dhabi.
That is brain dead, is a blowhard, is a dipshit. I can't even think of other words. It's an idiot. Is a just straight up imbecile. If you were referencing stats to just well, Strickland landed more signature strikes, man, or significant strike. He landed more significant strikes according to the UFC's website. Those strikes have never been accurate in ever. In the history of the sport, have never been accurate. And to be honest, I don't care what the definition is. I think Strickland landed one significant strike the entire fight. That's the reality of it. And it's good to see some people calling this out. I've seen a lot of other people saying, look, I thought Khamzat pretty clearly won. Meanwhile, for me to just have that opinion is supposedly because I'm a Caucasus region glazer, okay? But I wanted to show you somebody else. We're going to get to so much more. So the next thing I want to show you is a report from ESPN. Khamzat Chimaev is obsessed with the Sean Strickland rematch. The rematch with Sean Strickland is the only fight Khamzat wants. He's obsessed with it, his team said. So this is a report from Brett Okamoto. And I figured this would be the case afterwards.
Eric Nixick, Strickland's coach, went on Ariel Helwani's show and exposed himself with the weight cut conspiracy. He said the scale never settled for Chimaev, that they should be consistent across the board, that he doesn't think Chimaev made weight. But then in the same breath, he admitted they weighed Chimaev on a digital scale backstage, and he made weight. So which is it, Eric? Did he miss weight, or did the digital scale confirm 185? And then Ariel showed him footage of Strickland's weigh-in, where the scale bounced up and down just as much as Chimaev's. The scale never settled for Strickland either. So by Nixick's logic, Strickland also missed weight. The cognitive dissonance is embarrassing.
Intimidating edge to him. And to make it for himself, to get him to that place, to get himself geared into that place where I want to do damage to this guy, where I hate this guy, where I'm locked in. It's almost like he was handed an olive branch. Like, you know what I mean? Like, after going to a horrible place where now all of a sudden, hey, okay, come on, all right, like, why would he do that? I know, again, a lot of people say, Teddy, come on, he's just being a sport. He never did that before. He never did that before. Guys like him that get to that place mentally, they don't do that. They might do it after the fight. They don't do it before the fight. When he did that, I said, oh.
Teddy Atlas identifies the curiosity in Chimaev's approach. A grappler who takes you down and never lets you up suddenly decides to strike with a high-level striker. Why? Atlas believes it's a combination of physical limitation and ego. Chimaev knew he didn't have the gas tank to grapple for 25 minutes after that weight cut, but he also wanted to prove he's not boring, that he can strike, that he won't get booed again. So he engaged in Strickland's game, a game he had no business playing. And when you play someone else's game, you usually lose. Chimaev should have taken Strickland down every round, held him there, ground him out. Even if it's boring, even if fans boo, you secure the win. Instead, he tried to be something he's not, and it cost him the belt.
Nothing wrong with him. Like, he had this giant break because he punched somebody in some fucking low-level promotion.
Oh,
right?
that's right.
Got in a cage, punched somebody.
Yeah.
So so they gave him.
He's a wild boy.
He's a wild boy. So they gave him like a 8-month suspension, something like that, 6-month suspension, whatever it was. So you see him against Hernandez where he's perfect, and he looks fucking phenomenal.
Best I've ever seen.
His striking looked phenomenal. Everything looked phenomenal. And I'm like, oh, God, he looks like a better version of the guy who beat Izzy. He looked better.
Best we've ever seen.
And then he beats Khamzat with one shoulder. And so if you count him out based on that fight, where I thought Khamzat won, a lot of people did. Look, it's a lot of people that know fighting thought Khamzat won. There's a lot, I think it's split among journalists.
But let's give Strickland his due. This is a guy who grew up poor in America with an abusive father. He nearly died in a motorcycle accident that should have ended his career. He came back, beat one of the greatest strikers in middleweight history in Israel Adesanya, then beat arguably the best grappler in the division in Chimaev. He did it as an underdog in both fights. He did it with a separated shoulder against Chimaev. He did it with basic fundamentals: jab, straight right, control distance, survive. Nothing fancy, just blue-collar toughness and technical precision. Strickland is the anti-athlete. He doesn't run a 4.440. He doesn't have a 40-inch vertical. He's just a tough kid who works harder than everyone else and refuses to quit. So here's what this all means for the future of the middleweight division. Chimaev has to make a choice. Does he move to light heavyweight where he belongs, where his body won't shut down from weight cuts, where he can fight guys like Prochaska and Magomed Ankalaev? Or does he stay at 185, chase the Strickland rematch, and risk another catastrophic weight cut that leaves him compromised? Because here's the reality. Even if Chimaev gets the rematch and makes weight properly, he still has to solve the Strickland puzzle. He has to hold down a guy who's nearly impossible to hold down. He has to maintain cardio for 25 minutes against a guy who gets stronger as fights go longer. He has to overcome the mental hurdle of losing for the first time in his career. And Strickland, he's not going to make it easy. He'll talk trash, get in Chimaev's head, make it personal again. He'll separate his shoulder in training and show up anyway. He'll jab Chimaev's forearms for 25 minutes if that's what it takes to win. Because Strickland doesn't care about being exciting, he cares about winning. And his style is specifically designed to neutralize grapplers. High volume, constant movement, excellent takedown defense, and cardio for days. The rematch makes sense from a sporting perspective. It was a split decision. Both guys were compromised. The third round was a coin flip. But does it make sense for Chimaev's health? Does it make sense for his career? Because if he cuts to 185 again and loses again, the aura is gone. The mystique evaporates. He becomes just another guy who couldn't handle adversity. But if he moves to 205, fights Prochaska or Ankalaev, and dominates, he's a two-division threat. He's back in the conversation as one of the scariest fighters on the planet. The UFC has a decision to make too. Do they book the rematch and risk Chimaev missing weight again? Do they protect their investment by moving him to light heavyweight? Or do they let him fight Danis in June, see what happens, and make the call after? Because Dana White loves Chimaev. He's been pushing the Chimaev experiment since day one. But even Dana has to recognize the pattern. The weight cuts are getting worse, the performances are getting sloppier, and the excuses are piling up. Strickland, meanwhile, deserves respect. He's a two-time middleweight champion who beat two of